We're checking out Atlas Fallen to see what it has to offer in 2024. Let's find out. Atlas Fallen is set in a world ruled by a powerful sun god named Thelos. The people of this world live under his control and are forced to mine a magical substance called essence, which gives power to the gods. The story begins with the player character traveling with a group of people on their way to a new job. Along the way, they find a magical gauntlet, a glove with special powers, which also houses a spirit. With the help of this spirit and the gauntlet, the player becomes part of a rebellion against Thelos. The story follows the classic theme of a small group fighting against a powerful empire. While the world and setting are interesting, the story itself feels a bit bland and predictable. The characters and voice acting are not very engaging, making it hard to feel connected to the story. The combat in Atlas Fallen is where the game shows some of its strengths. It's fast-paced and focuses on attacking enemies rather than defending. Players mainly fight creatures called wraiths, which are monsters connected to Thelos's power. The combat system includes a unique feature called the momentum gauge. As players attack enemies, they fill up the momentum gauge. This gauge has 3 levels, and as it fills, players unlock new abilities and special moves. The gauge can also be used to unleash a powerful attack that can defeat enemies in one hit. However, there's a catch. The higher the momentum gauge, the more damage the player can take from enemies. This creates a balance between playing aggressively and staying safe. Players can customize their combat style by choosing different abilities for the momentum gauge. There are many options, and new abilities keep getting unlocked throughout the game. This allows for a lot of personalization in how players approach combat. While the combat system is creative, it has some flaws. One of the main issues is that attacks often feel weak because there's not much visual or physical feedback when hitting enemies. This lack of impact makes the combat feel less satisfying. Additionally, the character can stay in the air for a long time, making it easy to avoid enemy attacks by just staying airborne and attacking from above. This can make the combat feel repetitive and less challenging. The game only offers 3 types of weapons, and players can only equip 2 at a time. These weapons don't change the gameplay much because the special moves tied to the momentum gauge aren't linked to specific weapons, while parrying, blocking enemy attacks is important. The game doesn't offer many options for defensive play, which can feel limiting. Outside of combat, Atlas Fallen has a world that players can explore. The game has 4 main maps, each filled with various activities and side quests. The exploration is similar to what you might find in other open-world games, but the maps are smaller and more manageable. One of the highlights of the game is its movement mechanics. Players can use abilities like double jumping and air dashing to move around the world. These abilities make exploring the game world more fun, especially when it comes to reaching high places or getting through obstacles. Some of the side activities involve using these movement skills, like climbing buildings or racing to a location, which adds a layer of excitement to exploration. However, not all activities are engaging. Some tasks, like following animals to find treasure, can be boring. But overall, the game's size and the fun movement options make exploration enjoyable without feeling overwhelming. Atlas Fallen includes RPG elements, but they aren't very deep. Besides customizing the momentum gauge abilities, players can choose from different armor sets and perks. Armor sets give players different stat boosts, like increasing defense or attack power. Each armor set can be upgraded twice, which improves their stats and unlocks new passive abilities. Upgrading armor also gives players perk points, which can be used to unlock various perks. Perks are passive abilities that provide benefits like gathering more crafting materials or filling the momentum gauge faster. While the system works, by the end of the game, players will likely have unlocked most of the perks available, making the choice of perks less impactful. The game world of Atlas has a strong visual style. One standout feature is the Watcher, a giant figure that represents Thelos. The Watcher is always visible in the background, similar to how landmarks like Hyrule Castle in Breath of the Wild or the Erd Tree in Elden Ring help players navigate the map. It's a nice touch that adds to the game's atmosphere. However, the game struggles with some technical issues. The game sometimes experiences frame rate drops, making the action feel less smooth. There are also occasional bugs, like the game freezing when coming out of standby mode. These issues aren't game-breaking, but can be annoying. The game's music is okay, but not very memorable, adding little to the overall experience. Atlas Fallen is a game with some good ideas and unique mechanics, but it doesn't fully succeed in delivering a great experience. The combat system is interesting with its momentum gauge, but it lacks the satisfying impact that makes combat feel rewarding. The story and characters are underwhelming, and while the exploration and movement mechanics are fun, they can't completely make up for the game's other shortcomings. In terms of RPG elements, the game offers some customization options, but they aren't deep enough to keep players engaged for long. The technical issues, like frame rate drops and bugs, further detract from the experience. So, is Atlas Fallen worth playing in 2024? It depends on what you're looking for. If you enjoy experimenting with unique combat systems and like the idea of exploring a visually appealing world, you might find some enjoyment in this game. However, if you're looking for a polished experience with a compelling story and deep RPG mechanics, you might want to look elsewhere. In the end, Atlas Fallen is a decent game with some potential, but it falls short in key areas. It could have been much better with more refined gameplay, a stronger story, and better technical performance. For those curious about its unique aspects, it might be worth a try, but it's not a must-play title in a year filled with many great games. Thank you for watching our review of Atlas Fallen. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Is there a game you'd like us to review next? Let us know, and we'll see you in the next video.